Hello, choir. Hope you're all doing well. So this video is to give you just a little bit of guidance on Latin pronunciation for the 1,000 Years of Music History song, and also to just give you a little bit of history about that. I excuse the weird purple glow on my face. We are growing tomatoes and peppers in our spare room. And we've got the lights on because they need about 16 hours of light a day. So that's where the glow is coming from, just so you know. That's why I'm half purple. So here we go. So the first song is Ut Queant Laxis. And so this song was written around the 10th century. A little bit later maybe, but right around, we're talking about 1,000 years ago. So for this one, and we talked a little bit about this in music class, this is the one where we got ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la from when we were talking about solfege, and ut got later changed to do. So here it is for this one. It is ut queant laxis, resonare fibris, mira gestorum, famuli tuorum, solve polluzi, labii reatum sancte Johannes. And so my conception with this is to have one member of the honors choir start singing and then somebody else to join and keep adding people. But again, honors choir, I'd like you to practice all of that for now, please. Thank you. The next one, this is also honors choir or small group from honors choir, but again, please all practice it. So this is O Frondens Virga, and this is by Hildegard von Bingen, and she is one of the first well-known female composers. She was a nun in what's now Germany, but she was really prolific. She wrote a lot of music. So here we go on this one. So the words are O Frondens Virga, in tua nobilitate stans, sicut aurora procedit. So the third song, also honors choir, is going to be Pange Lingua Gloriosi. And this one, so now we're looking around 1200. And this one is attributed to Saint Thomas Aquinas, who I think you have all heard of. So here we go on this one. Pange Lingua Gloriosi, corporis mysterium, sanguinisque preciosi, quem in mundi pretium, fructus ventris generosi, rex effudit gentium. Okay. The next piece is going to be Curia, which is this version is by Guillaume de Machaut, and he was a famous French composer during the 1300s. And so you may not know this. So most of our mass parts that we sing, when we sing them in Latin, we often sing them in English. But a lot of times people wrote for them in Latin, except the Kyrie. And the Kyrie actually comes from Greek. So there's just a little tidbit. If we're singing the Mass in Latin, this is the only part that is not in Latin. It's actually in Greek. And there are only two words in this, Kyrie eleison, and that's it. Okay. The next piece is Mille Regrets, and that is just, that's by Josquin de Prez, who was a French composer about 100 years later. And we are going to, you're tacit for that. That means you do not sing. That will just be the recorders playing. As early French is somewhat difficult to pronounce, we're not going to go there. So the next thing that we sing is the Kyrie from the Pope Marcellus Mass. So again, the same words, Kyrie eleison. This one is by Palestrina, and we talked a little bit about this in class 2. He is basically the one who saved polyphony, which means music in more than one part, not in unison, but in different parts. And so he saved that. So this one is just going to be the sopranos, but all choir sopranos will sing this one. The next one is Miserere Mei, and this is by Allegri, and it was it's a really famous piece, and one of the reasons it's most famous is because on some of the verses there's a ridiculously high note because a copyist made a mistake. Because back in the day they had people copying all their music because there was no computers, there were no typewriters or anything, so people would actually copy it out by hand. And so somebody made a mistake. We are not doing the really high part for the purposes of this, so we want to make sure that we can have it is in range for as many of you as possible. So this is all altos and sopranos, and here are the words: Miserere mei Deus, secundum maniam misericordiam tuam. Remember, if you can't roll your R's, it's absolutely fine. I couldn't do it till I was 15. But what I would say to you is to try and do just a D sound in substitution. So instead of misericordia, it would be misericordia. And that's gonna, when you sing, it'll come out sounding just the same. The next one is one that I'm sure you know. It's the Hallelujah chorus. Easy words, just one in the part that we're doing. And so it's just Hallelujah. And that is by Handel. It's from a big work that he wrote called an oratorio. It was from, the oratorio was called the Messiah. He wrote it in 17 days. There's over 300 pages of music just for the choir. So it was pretty incredible that he was able to do that. I don't think he ever slept. I would imagine not. So, and he was a German composer who moved to England. So the Messiah is in English. So there we go with that one. Easy peasy. The next piece we do is Ode to Joy. Again, this is full choir. It's in English, so I'm not going to go over the text. And so this piece comes from Beethoven's 9th Symphony. Beethoven only wrote 9 symphonies, which not only, they're big pieces, but this was his last symphony. He was completely deaf when he wrote it. And it's also really the first well-known work of a symphony. So to make use of a choir, because symphonies are usually just for orchestra. So this was really an incredible piece and very new for its time, really groundbreaking. So I wanted to include that. That brings us close to the modern period, to the 1900s, 20th century here, to I Vow to Thee, My Country by Gustav Holst. And so this was originally part of a piece that Holst wrote called Jupiter, and he wrote a suite for instruments called the planets, and he chose many of the planets and wrote pieces that he thought reflected what they would be like. I mean, if you could go there. So this one, Jupiter, starts fast, and then there's a slow section in the middle, and this comes from the slow section. It's really beautiful. People have put words to it. It's a popular hymn in England now. Again, though, in English, so I'm not going to go over that text. And pretty easy. It is in parts, so it's going to be a little more difficult than Ode to Joy that we're singing in unison, but the text at least is easy. Finally, I wanted to include something from the 21st century, so I really quick wrote an Amen. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Sopranos, I put in the notes for the track for this, you're welcome to sing that high C. I apologize that I was kind of squeaky. My voice is going a little, and Aaron was napping, and I didn't want to wake him. So I was trying to be quiet. But in any case, feel free to sing that high note if you have it. But if you don't push. And if the G is even difficult for you, we'll come up with an alternative when we get back together. I really hope that you're all doing well. I miss seeing you. If you need anything at all, feel free to email me anytime. Preferably that over Praxi, just because I don't get onto Praxi a whole lot. But certainly I'll be sure to check that as well. Take care, and I will see you soon.